Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video in the Ash Root Over Rock from Seed Fusion playlist, and yet another video documenting their trip. If I pan you up, you can see that these trees have been growing up and up and up, reaching for the sky, and as a consequence they have been thickening up at the base quite nicely and beginning to fuse. The wire that is on is also beginning to cut in, and I can see I'm going to have to remove that, and I can see also that I have a little bit of dieback from one of the roots that is growing over the rock, so I'll need to do something about that. First of all, though, I'm going to cut it back to almost to a skeleton of itself, so that I can begin to see what I'm doing and remove some of these excessive long growths that aren't really going to be necessary in a final design. So I'm going to take off this piece, this entire piece. This is going to be my apex, I believe. No, maybe not when I get in there. No, I think this one's going to come off too. Like so. And then this looks a little harsh, I know, and I know you're maybe thinking, well, don't you need that extra growth for fusing? And yes, I do, but at the same point, those great big long growths aren't entirely helping anybody. Okay, so let's cut it back a little so I can actually see the wires. Let's move you in while I remove the wires. Okay, so we start with this finer wire at the top here. Hasn't entirely cut in yet, so that's good news. There is some scarring, but hopefully we can grow this tree. I take that back, it's cutting quite a lot there, but okay, that's not too bad. There is some wire scarring, but my experience tells me with ash they will grow quite considerably, and it won't be the huge issue. Okay, now to take off this thicker piece. If I can. With such a jumble of leaves, it's hard to see what I'm doing. But there we go, I think that's got it. Okay, this is the rock that vaguely resembles a shoe. Okay, so what I want to do here is I have some wire scar and almost looks like a pair of lips. I'm just going to trim that back a little. There's my penknife. There he is. I just want to slice that back. And so it's nice and flush, and hopefully, as I've done with other trees, that will heal smoothly, or more smoothly, and I sometimes have to re-scar it every now and again. But we've got definite fusion at the base here. These trunks, the individual trees, are about 3 years old now, and they are really hugging onto that rock and touching in a way that I haven't had any success when trying older trees. These were grown from seed, if you look back in the playlist. Okay, nip that, and that's all I'm going to do to this tree. Maybe I'll take the tip off. There. That's probably all I'm going to do to this tree for this year. We'll check on it over the winter and see how it looks in its splendour then. Okay, so this tree, these trees, it's a group obviously fusing together. This rock arrangement was taken out of a small round pot in the last video and repotted into this full-size seed tray, and is growing away rather nicely. I can see the trees are beginning to fuse. I'm going to take this piece off. Not sure what I'm going to do with that, keep it or not, but for the longer term I'm just going to leave these trees growing. They're fused, or they're fusing together here just above the top of the rock, and I deliberately haven't wired these all together any higher than this, just letting them grow, and then some will be chopped back and some will be kept, which will give taper, and then I can begin to build some sort of crown, depending on what style I think will look best. So nothing really to be done. Again, the roots, the trunks are hugging the rock so much better than when I tried doing this with older trees. Much more successful. Just give you a quick look up to the top. As you can see, they have been growing really well, and I'm just going to let them continue to do so for the rest of this season, and then we'll chop them back in the autumn. Okay, so this is a whole bundle of ash. If you saw the last video, you'll know that I put it from a regular sized seed tray into this oversized seed tray to give it a chance to put on a lot of growth, which it has done. If I scroll you up, you can see it's put on 4 feet, 3.5 feet of growth easily so far this year. And well, am I getting fusion? I'm getting some. At the base here they're beginning to cover. They're not actually over a rock, they're over a piece of carved polystyrene. I think I called this a traffic cone tree, and indeed that's very much what it resembles. Again, I'm not going to do a huge amount of work to it, but I do want to. This piece here is very thick. I don't know if it'll stay as part of the final design, but it could make a branch there by my thumb. It's difficult to see with all the foliage, but I'm going to chop back a few of these pieces that I actually left outside of the wire to be branches to assist with the tapering, because obviously you've got a lot more trees. If you put all your trees together, they're going to stay at a kind of fixed width most of the way up, whereas if you leave some out and some in as you go up the tree, you begin to get that taper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop back some of these that are not required for the taper. So there's a couple of trees in the very centre that I want to be my leader. The rest are kind of peripheral. This wasn't going to do very much, but actually it's going to be quite a lot. Given that, as I say, the central leader needs to be the one that is growing strongest, and these others can then begin to maybe throw out some side shoots and some branches, or rather the side shoots will become branches, I guess I should say. Once the trunk has fused, some of these pieces that are just kind of sticking out, if they don't become branches, will just get chopped off flush. But for now I'm going to give them all kind of equal opportunities. I think this is going to be my central piece, my leader. So there we go, there we have it. I could shorten that down, but I'm not gonna. Let's move you out a little. Now I do realise it looks proper odd, and not at all like a bonsai, with that strange one single shoot growing out at the top. But as I've said before, I do like to build trunks in general, and obviously when you're fusing a whole bunch of trees like this, and there's maybe 50 trees wrapped around that piece of foam at the bottom, then you know, that's going to take some time, and so we grow and we chop back and we grow and we chop back, and eventually, fingers crossed, they will fuse into one solid lump with good taper and some interesting shape, and then branching can come from there. Although, as I've already said, I'm beginning to think about some of these side pieces becoming branches at some point. Quickly pop that can back in for scale, give you a 360. It's going to be a lump and a half of trunk once it does finally fuse. Let me know what you think in the comments below. For this one, do all the usual YouTube stuff, the liking, the subscribing, the commenting, but most of all, please, 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 look after yourselves. Stay safe, everybody.